Alright, so everyone out there, here is our quick stock final build of our Mazda MX3 stock derby car. We are not thinking this is going to be a very good one. For example, this guy right outside here of the frame rail, I believe is just the power steering computer and pump. There is no way at all to move that inside the frame rail, so it just sort of is what it is. But we went with a simple Batman, if you will, Robin. You know, the red car was red, so we left it red, made the bat symbol, have Robin in the back. You can see I even was out of metal blades, and I had a dull blade that had a rough time trying to just cut a small opening there. But here she is. We just did a simple I'm Vengeance, kind of from the newer Batman, a little bit of a darker movie, good movie, came out this year. And that's it. So this is her. I mean, other than removing the windshield and glass, she is straight stock inside. Stock tank, which is sitting under here, which you can see there's the computer right on top of the fuel cell. That stuff's in there tight. I haven't tied up the wiring yet. I'll do that once I get there. To the derby, as my wife and I were out traveling until about 1 o'clock this morning. It's now a little after 3, so we're trying to get there. But we think she's ready. Again, got our battery box in there, and that's really it. So she is straight stock. We'll put our seat belts around the doors and the back window here, and then duct tape them as well. Same thing here with the trunk. We'll anchor it. You can see we just threw a Robin back there. Again, very simple, very quick. This car I'm actually renting. It was the first time I ever did it. I was talking with a guy, Keith, Derby's in the area. He's actually one of the guys of GSP that this derby is, and we're heading to, and he's going to take this one back. I in essence paid to rent it. Not a bad deal, as I don't have to worry about cleaning it up at all, but as the fact that I didn't really have a choice of cars, and it's kind of, hey, I have a car and here it is. And I mean, I hope I'm proven wrong, but I don't think I will be. It just is rusted so bad in all the wrong places, including the cable line for the transmission, which I'll show here in a moment. But again, straight stock inside. I'm going to secure those wires, and those are actually, I believe, the main thermostats. I think, I'm not sure if they're thermostats or they're the sensors, impact sensors. So those I'm going to securely fashion in that battery box, well inside the wheel well there, out of the way. And I didn't even loop the lines in this one. They say these Mazda front rebar bumpers are tough. Well, I hope so, because I didn't want to spend the time, and it's also kind of down and tucked in there in a funny way. It's missing a belt. This car is. It has the belt though that's on the main one you need there, with the generating power for the battery. And other than that, she's stock. So that's her. Just a quick look. Show again here. The thing that's really making me nervous, I'm going to try to tape around this because I didn't want to use a wire. It kind of slides forward a little bit, so I'm going to tape around it just to try to keep that plastic thing on there and not pull too much on this rusted out shifting arm. But yeah, that's what's really making me nervous. So this is her. We'll do a quick little post video, see how she does. Hopefully she runs for a while. We can have some fun, and it does run pretty well. But we'll see. She's going to be in the 4-cylinder stock compacts today at Venango. So we'll see how we do. Hopefully have some fun. So just to add on to this video, a little bit of a post run. I like to do these at the end, show the car all mangled up and kind of talk about how it did. She did in fact get to a 3rd place finish. Wasn't a lot of cars in the 4-cylinder. It was actually interesting. Usually the 4-cylinder has as many, if not more, than the 6-cylinder. Not as many. There was 8 total entries. I think only 7 though rolled into the pit. There was one car that wasn't running right. They couldn't get it in. But 2 or 3 of the cars were guys that I've run against, real good guys that build good stock cars. I mean, they're just tough. They run great. We got down to 3rd, and that's a picture there of my wife and kids afterwards with our busted up Mazda. And you can see the tire there hanging. The tie rod was damaged, and it eventually snapped. So there's just some pictures. I don't have the car. This is the day after. That car I technically rented. And again, you can see the tire rod was damaged about halfway through, and then it broke, and the CV shaft eventually just dropped out, and I had no gears. The car was still running. The bumpers on the front, they are as tough as advertised. I didn't have a lot of hits on the front, but usually there's some sort of damage, even all the more hits I had. And that thing, there was nothing on it. But it was way better of a run than I thought it would be. You can see the back end smashed up perfectly, really, up and into the rear axle. Again, I was a stock tank, and the tank was nowhere near being damaged. The axle starting to move was probably getting close to, if not starting to push in the tank, because how close it was, and it was a smaller car, but that was toward the end. A good fast track at Venango County Fair, if you're not familiar with it, and having 8 or less cars, there is a lot of room to fly around and just put some licks on people. So car did a lot better than I thought. It ran well. That wasn't my concern. My concern was the transmission shift cable, which I actually put black tape and duct tape over. There's our third place trophy again. Won a little bit of money, but the third place, you know, getting there. The top 2 cars were both Camrys. Anyone in the derbies knows how tough they are, and they were well built and well derbied Camrys. So that's like the ultimate challenge there to beat those guys. But getting the third, I was happy with it. Had a fun time. Had a couple good licks. Wild story though, just to wrap this video up. My seat belt was broke the entire time. So the seat was actually the passenger seat, and that was the only seat I had. Again, I rented this car in essence. That's why I don't have it today. The guy, Keith, that helps run the GSP team, he had his trailer there, so we just loaded on his trailer and he took it back. He's going to scrap it for money. So I, in essence, rented it off him. Well, it didn't have all the seats in it. It only had one, and it was the passenger seat. So the seat belt was mounted on the side of the seat. So I thought, no big deal. I'll just switch it to the other side because there was a bolt hole, but I could not get a bolt that fit it. And I forgot about it until the morning of. So I was trying to rig something up. I ended up saying, well, I'll just use zip ties. And I had 5 zip ties tied around the belt to a bar. First hit, it snapped right through them. And I was like, oh no. So the whole derby, I'm running around holding with my right hand the seat belt to the car, and or to my hip, I should say, and then I'm steering the car and I'm shifting with my left hand. So it was in essence like I had a broken right hand and I had to do everything with my left hand. And that's what I missed gear shifting the one time, and that's where Carl came up and got a good hit on my right wheel, which eventually is where that tire rod, I could tell it was damaged because it was starting to like make some funny vibrations and noises. So the CV shaft was probably starting to dance a little about halfway through the derby, and Carl ended up second. And the whole derby, I was doing everything with my left hand, but still had fun. Still, the car, I mean, did great. So it kind of is what it is. Another lesson learned: make sure the seatbelt is totally in order before you get, and then there's again a picture of the car to start, before you get to the derby. As I was running around in essence without a derby, or without a seatbelt the entire derby, I was just trying to make sure they didn't red flag and black flag me, in essence disqualify me, because they saw my seatbelt flying around. So again, third place, we're excited. It was a fun run, a good time, no seatbelt and all.